Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Heidi from My Reading Life, and I'm here today to film a very exciting announcement video for Springathon. Yes, it's that time of year again. We're back to talk about Springathon, that wonderful readathon where we read all things nature writing to celebrate finally spring arriving. So this year I am joined again by the two hosts from last year, Natalie at Curious Reader and Doris at All the Books. I will link both of their channels down below, and you'll see announcement videos from them as well as we talk about when the readathon is going to happen, what the prompts are, and some recommendations for some reading that you might do that celebrates nature writing. So the dates for Springathon this year are May 9th through the 22nd, but please feel free to read nature writing books all month long in the month of May to celebrate spring. But those time periods between May 9th and May 22nd are the official dates. And the prompts this year are diversity, sustainability, connectivity, and activity. So those are four great words that that are discussed quite often in nature writing books or books about science and the environment. So I'm sure that we'll all be able to find plenty of books that hit those themes, and you may interpret them in any way that you like. So I do have some recommendations for you today for books that I have read in the past that I think fit these prompts very well and are excellent reads. So for diversity, I would like to recommend that you try The Diversity of Life by Edward O. Wilson. I first read this book in college 30 years ago. It was assigned to me in one of my biology classes, and it absolutely changed my life. This is a book that helped me to articulate and define the things that I was interested in the sciences, and helped me sort of think about where I wanted to go forward in terms of my career and how I wanted to incorporate biology into my life. So this book is near and dear to my heart. It is a book that I'm planning to reread this year, and I probably will be trying to pick this up in the month of May myself as a reread, but it is an excellent book. This particular edition I have is, like I said, it's from 30 years ago, but it has fabulous photos and illustrations, maps, graphs, the whole works. So this, if you can get your hands on a used copy of this particular edition, which was published in 1992, this is a fantastic edition of this book. Then for sustainability, I actually have two recommendations to make because I couldn't pick just one. The first one is one of my favorite nature writing authors of all time. This is The Story of More, How We Got to Climate Change and Where to Go From Here by Jahren. This is a wonderful discussion of where we are with climate change and how it impacts day-to-day life, and where as an individual you can go with that. And I think Jahren is just an awesome writer. I love this book. I loved her book Lab Girl even more. But if you want to talk about sustainability and how to live lightly on the planet, Jahren writes about this really well and with a lot of humor. So I would highly recommend this. And then secondly, for sustainability, I want to recommend this book that I read last year, How to Avoid a Climate Disaster, The Solutions We Have and the Breakthroughs We Need by Bill Gates. And this book was really excellent because Bill Gates is a very practical person. And so he comes at the climate change issue from a very hands-on, let's implement solutions that we already have and get the work done that we need to get done. So he is not a proponent of he is a proponent of looking toward new solutions, but he's also a proponent of implementing solutions we already have to hand. And he is very much a proponent of using engineering to help us fix some of the more egregious ways that we harm the planet. And I found this book to be really hopeful read about climate change, which climate change is not usually a topic that is very hopeful at all. But this book, I thought, because it offers practical solutions, I found it to bring me more hope as I read it. So I definitely recommend that. For connectivity, another favorite author of mine, David George Haskell, his book, The Forest Unseen, A Year's Watch in Nature. I've raved about this many times on my channel. I absolutely love David George Haskell's writing. But in this book, he documents his visits to a 1 square meter of forest land near his home over the course of an entire year, and talks about how all of the components of the forest ecosystem can be observed in this one little plot of land, and how those things connect to each other and to us as the human inhabitants of the world. Thoughtful, insightful, just gorgeous nature writing. He evokes the wonder of nature in everything that he writes. It just brings me such joy to read his writing and to read what he has to say about things like leaf litter and the little critters that live in the leaf litter. I mean, he imbues his writing with such joy and wonder for the natural world around him. I think he's a wonderful writer, and if you're looking to learn more about how things connect to one another in the environment and how we as humans connect to those things, I think David George Haskell is your guy. And then last prompt, activity. There were many places I could have gone with this, but I would like to recommend a book I just read in the last couple of months, and that is Entanglements, The Intertwined Fates of Whales and Fishermen by Tora Johnson. I just read this, I think, last month, and it was fabulous. This book, I picked it for the activity prompt because it talks a lot about the actual activity of disentangling whales from fishing gear. And it also talks about the activity of trying to pass legislation that protects both whales and fishermen. And so Tora Johnson delves deep into both of those activities, but also brings to it a lot of information about the history of whaling, the history of fishing, what has happened to whales over time as they interact with humans, and how our human activities have impacted their life cycles and their ability to survive in our world. But she also writes with a lot of empathy and heart for the fishermen themselves, for the communities that depend on fishing. And so just if you're interested at all in the juxtaposition of human activity and how human activity impacts particular species in the world, I think that's a really great recommendation. Lastly, I would like to remind you that the Book Naturalist Book Club pick for May is Small Bodies of Water by Nina Mingya Powles. Powles is a New Zealand author, and in this essay collection, she talks about her life and her how she connects with nature. And so in the blurb, it says, this lyrical collection of interconnected essays explores the bodies of water that separate and connect us, as well as everything from migration, food, family, earthquakes, and the ancient lunisolar calendar to butterflies. So this book, I think, fits a lot of the prompts, but specifically connectivity and diversity, I think are going to play big roles in the themes of these essays. And it is, like I said, the Book Naturalist Book Club pick for May, so it fits well with Springathon and with, if you want to read along with us for the Book Naturalist Book Club. So yeah, I'm very excited for Springathon. In the upcoming weeks, I will have my TBR, my pile of possibilities for the nature writing that I would like to accomplish in the month of May, and specifically during the period from May 9th to May 22nd during Springathon. I hope that you will all join us in finding some great nature writing to pick up and peruse and fall in love with during the month of May. I hope you're all doing well and finding some great books to read, and I will talk to you later.